one of the big things that we've just done at Table Tennis Victoria and Table Tennis in Australia across the whole country is updated our membership model. So we had sort of two types of membership, a social player or a competitive player. So social, you just sort of come and have a hit. You don't really keep track of your scores from week to week. Or a competitive player, you play in competitions. So you might play in the weekly pennant competition, you might play in tournaments, you might play in national tournaments. So those were the two different levels of membership. And what we realised was that we're a more complex sport than that. So we've sort of broadened out the different membership categories that we've got so that we've still got the social or the club play who just wants to sort of come in, play a low sort of amount and have a social hit week to week. But we've sort of then categorised sort of the players that play just at sort of club level, those that play in our Victorian state tournaments and those that play in the national tournaments. And I think the other really exciting thing that we've done is implement a free sort of fan and fun membership to capture all of those people that play table tennis but don't play within our ecosystem, if that makes sense.
Welcome to the Leaders of Influence podcast, the show where leadership is not a title. It's all about influence and impact. Each episode, I sit down with leaders who have built trust, moved teams, and shaped outcomes where it mattered most. No motivational quotes, just the decisions, the habits, and the pressure-tested principles that create real influence. If you want to lead with more clarity, credibility, and care factor, hit follow right now so you don't miss the next conversation. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we unpack all things influence. Such a big topic. I love it. It just means something different to everyone. And to the person that we're going to ask today, Gen Dohrmann.
Dohrmann.
Yep. Thank you, Jen. GAICD. So Jen's obviously a trained board director, a Victoria-based sports executive and board leader. Currently CEO of Table Tennis Victoria. I can't wait to unpack the background that Jen's got. And Jen's been CEO of Table Tennis Victoria since 2022. Recognised as number 89 on News Corp Australia's 23 list of Australia's most influential women in sport. Go, Jen. When Jen and I were introduced, Jen was introduced as a very influential woman in sport. So I'm really keen to understand how Jen has become known for building participation, modernising marketing and digital channels, and strengthening governance across member-based sporting organisations. So this is going to be a really cool conversation. Jen brings a track record in commercial growth, communications and brand leadership across multiple codes of sports, that is, including gymnastics, rugby union, horse racing and netball. This is going to be so cool. Prior to leading Table Tennis Victoria, Jen held several roles at Gymnastics Victoria, progressing from marketing comms manager to general manager, marketing, industry and development, where she led marketing and commercial strategy and the team doing that. Alongside her executive leadership, Jen has significant governance credentials and sector influence. And I think let's turn it over to Jen and see if we've forgotten anything.
No, I think you've really covered it all there. Like, I'd actually like you to pass on that bio so that I can use it for my own personal usage, because that was a lovely summary.
Oh, Deb, did you get that as an action? Pretty pleased. Thank you. Good on you. Flying your way, Jen. So, Jen, with all of that experience, and that's one heck of a resume in the sports industry, and I didn't realise until speaking to Ray Boggiano, so thank you, Ray, for connecting us, just how cool a sports industry career could be. Before we talk about that and table tennis potentially, what does the word influence mean to you as a leader? Influence.
I think influence is really, like, for me, one of my key values is communication and making sure that you've got clear communication is a key to, I think, influencing. I think influence is so important to be able to do what you do and do it well. You need to have the buy-in of others. And I think that communication plays such a key role in this. And the more people that you can influence and bring on the journey with you, the easier your journey is going to be. You're always going to have a few speed bumps and a few sort of squeaky wheels, but I think that, influence is all about sort of how you can really have others buy into what you're doing and be able to move forwards with things.
Nice. Others buy into the vision, Jen, and the strategy and the plan, the progress. I love it. Now, a bit more about your career, if that's okay. So that's what influence means to you, and you've changed the world by the look of it.
That's
really
very generous.
In the sporting world, let's say. Tell us about some of your roles. Tell us what it's like, maybe just for all our listeners out there who haven't ever probably been connected with this, someone who leads a sporting code in Australia. What does that, what's that all about?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I've got to say that I actually never set out to be like, I'm going to be a leader and a CEO of a sport. It's just sort of where my career's taken me, and where I sort of started in a marketing sports kind of role with netball, and I always knew that I'd like to work in sport because you just have such great fandom around sport, and there's so much sort of love of what you're doing. So if you're communicating on social media about these results, there's going to be an engaged audience that want to know what's going on. So sport for me, it was a no-brainer once I got my communications degree that I wanted to apply it in the sports field, and sort of started off in those sort of marketing, digital communication kind of roles. And for me, a big factor in wanting to sort of take on more leadership was, one, that I sort of thought that I had the capacity, but two, that you just weren't seeing very many female leaders taking on these challenges. And for me, especially when I was in my role at Gymnastics Victoria, we had a CEO recruitment cycle. So our CEO was leaving and we were bringing in someone new. And gymnastics, 80% female sport, we thought, okay, we've got a male CEO, hopefully we get a female coming in. And we eventually ended up having a male hire who was fantastic, but we spoke to the board chair, who was a female, and said, oh, well, what about female applicants? And she said, we were really disappointed that hardly any females put up their hand for this job. So that for me was like a lightning bolt of okay, well, that's not good enough. Females can do this job, and a female sport should be represented by a female at the helm. So that was quite influential in me sort of starting my leadership sort of journey and sort of applying for CEO roles. And I think it took me 3 sports where I was unsuccessful before I actually got the role with Table Tennis Victoria. And credit to them, I was an untested sort of CEO. I was coming in as a sort of general manager of marketing, and I think industry development was my final role at Gymnastics Victoria. And it was a gamble to take on a fresh sort of person, but it has been the most formative experience for me. It's been just so interesting to understand not only that general manager area of sort of marketing or industry or clubs that you might specialize in, but also the broader picture of the entire organization. So while I didn't think finance was a strong skill set of mine, I've worked really hard in the sort of budgeting and the financial reports area to really sort of work on getting a healthy surplus for Table Tennis Victoria, and just making sure that everything we do is sort of linked to tangible results, and that we are quite a small organisation at Table Tennis Victoria. We're only sort of 3 full-time staff, or I actually work part-time and job share the COO role. So we're technically 3.1 full-time staff, but we have to be quite articulate about what we're focusing our time and energy and limited resources on. So Yeah, it is a really interesting sort of sector to work in, the sports industry, because you've got your real rusted on fans who have grown up playing table tennis and are just so excited to continue to play in the current formats. But you've also got so many new players coming through, and you're sort of trying to balance that demand for the original players and the new ones. So I feel like I've given you so much there to discuss,
No.
but hopefully that's answered the question somewhat.
Intriguing answer. Intriguing answer. Influenced by the need to see female leaders. And now, and given an opportunity, and what the presupposition was, so what was sitting under all of that was that you're now leading an organization, you want to be progressive, you want to make changes, but at the end of the day, a lot of your member base, let's say maybe not client base, but member base, are probably traditionalists. And this is cool. This is going to be great stuff for you and your leadership. And how do you influence that? And so, just for everyone out there, because I'm intrigued by this, like we all played table tennis as a kid, or most people probably had a ping pong table
Yep.
at home, if that's another word for it. How do you play it differently? Like, what are some of the changes to Table Tennis Australia that might be coming? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think one of the big things that we've just done at Table Tennis Victoria and Table Tennis in Australia across the whole country is updated our membership model. So we had sort of two types of membership: a social player or a competitive player. So social, you just sort of come and have a hit. You don't really keep track of your scores from week to week. Or a competitive player, you play in competition. So you might play in the weekly pennant competition, you might play in tournaments, you might play in national tournaments. So those were the two different levels of membership. And what we realized was that we're a more complex sport than that. So we've sort of broadened out the different membership categories that we've got, so that we've still got the social or the club play who just wants to sort of come in, play a low sort of amount and have a social hit week to week. But we've sort of then categorized sort of the players that play just at sort of club level, those that play in our Victorian state tournaments, and those that play in the national tournaments. And I think the other really exciting thing that we've done is implement a free sort of fan and fun membership to capture all of those people that play table tennis but don't play within our ecosystem, if that makes sense. So if you play at home in the garage, if you play at your workplace, if you play at the pub, if you play at your beach house, whatever it might be, we'd love you to sign up as a free fan and fun member, because we know that there's so many out there, so that when we actually look at the national database of sort of 12, 13,000 national members, it's not actually representative of how many people in Australia are playing table tennis. We've had some research done, which is 3.25 million Australians play or have an affinity to table tennis. So we need to be able to capture that so we can better tell the story of table tennis.
Holy, thanks for sharing. Another great answer. Tell the story. I love this. And I wish we had more time and I'd unpack the story. What I'd love to know though is who influenced you. Like, I know that you were in, and I love how you said you were influenced by this decision not to put on a female CEO in a female dominant sport. I love that. Like, was there anyone before that actually, in your professional journey or maybe your personal life, who said you could be a leader in this? You could be the person that makes the change.
Yeah, like I think I've been lucky to have some fantastic bosses and sort of mentors. My initial sort of CEO boss from Gymnastics Victoria, Jamie Parsons, he definitely gave me a lot of opportunities to grow and develop at gymnastics. So I was marketing manager, team of 0, and just was able to develop and take on extra responsibilities and be given sort of additional portfolios and things like that to manage. He also suggested me for quite a few different leadership opportunities and things. So that was very, very encouraging. And he, credit to him, he did that to multiple people across the organisation of Gymnastics Victoria. So I think we went on to have sort of 4 people that were underneath Jamie have become CEOs within sport and other organisations. So he's probably a good one that I'll recommend for you to get onto the podcast.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
Yes,
of course,
please.
of
We'll
course.
talk
So
to
I
Jamie
can,
next. That would be.
I can definitely recommend Jamie. But one of the things that Jamie recommended to me was being part of a women in sport mentoring program that was run through an organisation called Women's Sport Australia. And I signed up for the program and met the president of Women's Sport Australia, Carol, who was one of the facilitators, and she and I had a great rapport. She was so interesting and was talking about the board work that they did at Women's Sport Australia. And actually following the session, Carol asked me if I'd be interested in joining the board. And I was 28 and a bit like, oh, I didn't think females and people my age joined boards. Like, I was thinking maybe like later down the track, I'll look at boards sort of stuff. But she said, no, you'd be perfect. We need someone who understands digital, sport, marketing, and you've just got a great energy. So she has been someone who's been extremely influential in my career. And from her being the president of Women's Sport Australia, she then helped me to come into the role of president following her tenure. So, she is still someone that I speak to sort of quite closely day to day, and any career changes that I'm thinking about, I sort of consult with her. So Jamie and Carol have definitely been huge influences. And then like my parents as well. My dad sort of instilled a lot of hardworking values. He worked in the hotel industry and was able to sort of grow his own career in hotels to sort of have sort of part ownership and things like that of a few different properties. And then, I think that all my values always come from my mum as well, who's always instilled a great sense of belief. So they're probably all the people that have probably put the most influence on me.
Wow. Well, if you wouldn't mind, and maybe there's an intro to Carol too.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. She'd love it.
Cannot wait. That's powerful. But I didn't even know there was such a thing. The Women's Sport Australia. I love that. That's so cool. Good on you.
Yeah.
Well done. Now, in saying that, have you been, and this is the humble question, and I know most people go, I don't want to, not really, not me, everyone's done it themselves, but who have you influenced? Like, who are you most proud of? Who have you paid it forward for?
I think I really try to establish strong working relationships with all of my employees. I think that just as important as leading the organisation is leading and developing the people that you work with. So like back to sort of people that I used to work with at Netball Australia I was the digital marketing manager and they were the assistant, didn't have a clear reporting line to me, but I'm still very much in touch with Steph. I'm still in touch with Eliza from gymnastics days, also Stephanie, and then now with my colleagues at table tennis. Like I call them my colleagues, like I am their boss, but like I think we're a team together. They make me look good because I lead the organization, but I also think it's so worthwhile investing in their development because wherever they go, and I think this is once again Jamie instilled this in me, their successes in the future are going to be my successes as their former boss. So I encourage them to take opportunities. I want them to talk to me about other career opportunities that they've got. Yes, we don't want to lose them from table tennis, but I want them to grow and develop. And if there's an opportunity that's going to be better for them, I want them to take it. So I think there's that one. But I think also I try to post about sort of what I do on LinkedIn and things like that so that other females who work in sport can feel like they can approach me and ask questions. I have a 2-year-old daughter and I actually have another baby on the way. So
congrats.
Thank you. I think it's very important that I can sort of share my journey as a mum who works in sports leadership, that like I am making it work for me. I've got a job share arrangement where I do 3 days as CEO and have a job share with a COO who works 2 days. And we don't want to lose good women and good females from the industry. So let's showcase how we can make it work.
Wow. That is role model 101. Wow. How do we make it work? Let me show you. And do you get a lot of interest, like on you know, from LinkedIn? Do people reach out and say, hey, can you mentor me? Or hey, what would you do on this?
Yeah.
Like, is that a common thing for you?
I would say, like, this is always sets myself up, but I will never turn down a coffee with someone. If someone is keen to meet with me and understand more about my career journey or get some tips, especially I do a lot of sort of going to universities, sports seminars and talking about my story, because like I remember when I left university and was looking for my first job in sport, it took me 2 years. I had to build up a lot of volunteer experience. I haven't been handed everything on a silver platter or anything. So I remember being in that position. So it's nice to be able to tell the story and like hand the ladder down and just sort of to the next generation that it takes time, but once you do get a foot in the door, opportunities present themselves. And if there's anything that I can do to help sharing about my journey or sharing my network, then I'm always keen to be able to do that.
Is so giving, so in service. That's lovely, Jen. Thank you so much. That's a beautiful answer. I don't know, and I like it when it's anything that starts with "I never knock back a coffee." I think, yep,
I know,
absolutely.
like, albeit I do say people need to come to MSAC where my office is, and
Hey,
I'll
they
meet you
come to
in the
you.
cafe
We grab a
there,
coffee.
but that just makes it a bit easier for me to manage with
That's
my
it.
different priorities.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
and
think
that's it.
if someone wants to learn, just because those interactions that I had when I was early career
Mm,
just made such a difference. So I just, yeah, really
mm.
want to be able to pay it forwards.
I love that. Pass the ladder down to the next person to help them climb the ladder of whatever success looks like for them.
Yeah.
Such a great analogy. That's lovely, Jen. Really well put. That's really cool, and it's great to hear that you've got these young women that you're still in touch with from previous organisations, that you're going to watch them go and change the world a little bit. And do you do much work with Ray Boggiano and that that university pretty much?
Yeah, so I met Ray because when I was president of Women's Sport Australia, so Women's Sport Australia
Mhm.
are an 11-person voluntary sort of board that
Wow,
are the peak advocacy body for women and girls in sport in Australia. So just
cool.
influencing and making sure that women and girls have the same opportunities as boys and men. So something that
Mm,
I'm very passionate about, as you can tell, that's
of
come
course,
through
keep
our chat.
going. Go ahead.
But we got involved working with the Global Institute of Sport in a partnership, sort of because they were wanting to increase the amount of females that went through their programs. So we started, working together on a scholarship for a Global Institute of Sport person. And I actually finished my tenure with Women's Sport Australia in 2023. And then during that time, Ray asked me if I'd be interested in coming on to the Global Institute of Sport Advisory Board as a industry sort of leader. So for the Asia Pacific region. So yeah, that was a great opportunity to sort of stay involved, especially because I was finishing up with that board and wanting to sort of continue my additional work that I do. So yeah, it's been incredible, and it's been really nice to work with people in other countries, like within sport, and see what the landscape's like with them. I went to New York in 2023 and was put in touch with an industry leader from the Global Institute of Sport network over there. So met up with her. She gave us some tips about going to the baseball and stuff. So yeah, it's just been a really great experience. And I think I'm so proud of the network and how things are growing now in Australia with the sort of on-campus experience up in Sydney, and hopefully getting something like that in Melbourne as well, because that industry experience plays such a key role when you're studying, and probably would have saved me a couple of years when I was trying to get that first job in sports. So really, I'm passionate to be a part of things at Global Institute of Sport.
And for everyone's benefit, for all our listeners and viewers, please check out our previous episode with Ray Boggiano, who is the marketing lead down there in marketing and comms, I think, lead at GIS, Global Institute of Sport, as Jen's just said. And Ray talks passionately about helping people get sporting careers And now I think, to hear Jen say that Jen's passionate about females in sport careers as well, I think that would have been a match made in heaven. And obviously that's how Jen and I got connected through Ray Borgiano. So shout out to GIS too, by the way. Shout out to the Global Institute of Sport. And Ray speaks really passionately about that business and the work they're doing. And, we all, I think, as kids probably dreamed of a career in sport, even, as professional athletes. I was a cricketer. I've had some professional cricketers on and we all wanted to be the next Rod Marsh or the next Greg Blewett or whoever. And I think sports admin is probably people's, if you can't be a sports person, might as well be in sports admin, so I can be around sports that I love. And,
Oh,
and it's
exactly.
great.
And it's if you're working in something that you're passionate about, then it doesn't actually feel like work at all.
Well done. Passionate. And now here's another just question that it's on the list, but it's slightly different.
No, that's fine.
I've been asking people on the street, Jen, like I grab a mic and just walk into the Queen Street Mall in Brisbane and just say, hey, what's the most important character trait of a good leader? I'd love your take on that, Jen. What's the most important character trait of a good leader?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's a big shift in leadership going on at the moment. Like I really like to perpetuate the empathetic leader that I think is quite a change from the authoritative sort of despotic leadership, which used to get the job done, and that whole sort of Donald Trump, you're fired kind of like mandate and stuff. Like I think that, like I've discussed, I think I'm so in tune with my employees. Like that for me, if you can hire the right people and work as a team together well, then that just makes your job so much easier and more enjoyable. You spend so much time with your work colleagues that having those really strong relationships and being able to relate to them and lead by example. So a good example for me is that we run a table tennis tournament in Traralgon, so country Victoria, and we often need to set up, I think, about 46 tables for the competition, and it's like all hands on deck. So I'm there wheeling out the tables, unfolding them, tapering the nets and everything like that. I don't sit back in my office and let my team do the grunt work, my team of two really, because it's important that like everyone understands that when it's event day, you just get your hands dirty and do whatever needs to be done. And like, I think that's really important as a team to sort of show that. And so I just think that leadership, like I think, empathy is really important. Then I also am a big advocate for communication and transparency. So like as a leader, I've got lots of different stakeholders at Table Tennis Victoria. So I always like to be able to explain the decisions that we make. If we're changing the level of prize money that we're giving out, we know that people aren't going to be happy about it. It's giving the reasoning of why we're doing this and saying, if you'd like to speak to me about it, please contact me. I won't turn away from a hard conversation, because sometimes people just want to vent and ask questions and things like that. And I'm able to sort of say, listen, our financial results haven't been where we want them to be, and we're doing this as a temporary measure, and we'll review it and hopefully be able to reinstate the prize money, this is a true life example from 2023, and then brought it back in 2024 and things like that. So that's just sort of what you need to do sometimes. But it's not just because I woke up and said, oh, let's get rid of prize money, because we just, I don't think we need it anymore. It's like we actually had to make this decision, and then we needed to stabilise as an organisation, and now we've been able to bring it back in fair and equitable amounts. And so it's just, different ways of being able to explain yourself, be approachable, and just make sure that you're really rallying your team around you.
I love that. And I think the empathy piece would help you when you're communicating to a stakeholder group, when you're telling them that there's going to be no prize money that they're probably used to at the same event for years gone by.
Yep.
and to understand your stakeholders and your members and how they're going to respond and react to that would be really important to your comms style and your comms method, I presume. So love
Exactly.
that. Love a real life story. Thanks, Jen. And was it received okay at the time? Like, was there much?
Yes, well, what we did do was we ended up having a equipment partner at the time who gave out
Oh,
vouchers so we got rid
nice.
of the cash prize money. We still gave out a $50 sort of voucher for a
Nice.
winner and $25 for a runner up. It wasn't the most favourite decision that we made at Table Tennis Victoria, but
Bridges.
I think
Yeah.
the reasoning that we gave around it, like, people understood, and I still sort of like am happy to sort of address questions about it. But we have
Mm.
reinstated the prize money now that we're in a better financial position. So yeah, at the time, I think once again, it's just being open and transparent and giving people that opportunity to vent, not trying to hide that
Mm.
we're getting rid of it, but coming out on the front foot and sort of
Mm.
signposting it.
I love that. And at the end of the day, it was only for 1 year, and now you've reinstated it. And all of a sudden, like that would give you intense credibility, I would have thought. Like to be able to go on that little journey is probably as hard as it was at the time in 2023, but to come back in 2024 and say, hey, by the way, guess what? Like I think that, geez, that's a really good leadership lesson. I think that
And
one.
I think we were also able to put sort of some new parameters around it. So previously, prize money had been based around entries, so our men's events would get much more entries than our female events. So men's prize money would be higher than female prize money. So we sort of were
Gotcha.
able to set some more guidelines around, okay, we're going to have fair and equitable prize money, not dependent on the number of entries, which probably meant the men weren't as happy because the prize money went down a bit, but the females were probably getting more than they were getting previously. So, and we've been able to subsequently sort of grow it year on year just based on like other operating areas of the business where we're able to just sort of put a bit more back into the community. But we're always looking for more sponsors. So if any businesses are there wanting to get involved with a community sport, please contact Table Tennis Victoria.
You heard it here first, team. Please reach out and contact the amazing CEO Gen Dohrmann to see how you can sponsor a great sport in Australia, especially, and sign up as a member too. By the way, even if you play in your garage, so there's a new
Fan and
membership.
fun, exactly.
Fan and fun. We heard today. Gen Dohrmann, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. It's it's really intriguing to talk to someone who runs a sport like table tennis. That's so cool.
Thank you. Oh, well, it's lovely to sort of share my story and things like that. So yeah, very, very pleased. And yeah, like if anyone wants to know anything further about me, then please reach out.
Appreciate you'll find Jen on LinkedIn. It sounds like Jen's pretty busy on LinkedIn. That's amazing. Jen, I'm still intrigued. So are there professionals? Like, does anyone play table tennis for a living in Australia, or is it an international sport, or like, can you get paid playing the sport?
I think there's some really strong international domestic sort of competition. So there's a strong league in Europe where sort of some of our top players will go over and play there. I think a couple in sort of other countries, of course, you've got people who are invited to go over and play in China, which is obviously the table tennis mecca. So it's very difficult in Australia to make a living playing table tennis because the quality of our competition isn't sort of where it probably is going to be competitive enough for the highest level. So we're looking at what we can do to bridge that gap and do some interclub and maybe even interstate sort of league type competitions in future.
Wow.
But currently it's sort of like our top athletes spend a lot of time overseas playing on the international circuit or in international leagues. But we're really doing what we can to sort of be able to develop as much talent here in in Australia and sort of hopefully retain them and get them playing in some of our top competitions. And with the Brisbane
Wow.
2032 Olympic Games, that's a big opportunity. So, yeah.
Brisbane 2032. And will you advise that committee? Like, will you be part of some sort of a community that influences how table tennis is delivered at the Olympics? Like, is it?
So I think it's
not?
probably in the federated sports system. It's more Table Tennis Australia, our national body, that do that. But we work very closely with Table Tennis Australia. We're sort of one of the 8 member associations, so the states and territories, and we meet monthly with the CEO and have those CEO type meetings. So I think if Table Tennis Australia are advising and influencing, that we will also be across that and a part of things. So yeah, like it's exciting. We can't wait for our home games again, obviously. And yeah, just a great opportunity for a lot of our sort of young talent that are playing in our Victorian tournaments at the moment, that they could be on that pathway.
Wow, I'm excited for you. We're lucky enough to have in the studio Dominique Lamb moving forward. So Dominique is on the Olympic Committee.
Incredible.
So really, really excited. Can't wait to hear from Dominique. Dominique's job is to really highlight the Olympics and what it can do for communities around Australia. So looking forward to that conversation as well. I'm going to do a quick wrap up, if that's cool, and summarise a great conversation in my Remarkable. I should give a shout out to Remarkable. Go Remarkable. Do you write stuff down?
I actually don't, but Nicole, the CEO of Table Tennis Australia, has one. And yeah, I have just my plain old notebook here. So unfortunately, I'm not as high tech, but maybe one day.
One day. I love it. I reckon I've sold probably 20 of these to people. Team, amazing chat. Gen Dohrmann, what a fantastic human, and what a fantastic value that Jen's added to women's sport in a couple of capacities, whether it's CEO of Table Tennis Victoria or whether it's as president of Women's Sports Australia over time. You know, Jen has just been this purpose-driven, let's have more female senior leaders in sport. And that's now sort of moved into a partnership or a relationship, at least, with Global Institute of Sport, who help people get sporting careers. And you know, I just love hearing people that are so passionate about, I guess, sport in general, but also women in sport, and giving women the opportunity that men get, and just being around a sport that gets engagement, that, you know, people buy in there. I love what Jen said, that people are raving fans about their sport. You don't have to do much. You just got to put out some results and people will contribute and comment and buy in, which I think is really cool. But talking about buy-in, Jen also said that Jen's very vocal not vocal, just present on LinkedIn, and Jen would never knock back a coffee. So I love people that are very open and willing to share their knowledge, their information, and their mentorship with other humans. So team, if you're out there, please reach out to Gen Dohrmann. And it's spelt a bit differently, Dohrmann, not Doorman. So if you search by Dohrmann as it sounds, you won't find Jen. I'm married to a teacher, so it's not spelt phonetically, but you'll find Jen. Even just Google CEO Table Tennis Victoria. Gen Dohrmann. What quote would you like to leave us with? What's the insight that we can finish this podcast chat on, pretty please?
Oh God, a quote. Let me think. Like I think the one that like always sticks with me is like, those that need to know. Like my dad sort of mum and dad used to always say that, because sometimes I used to get disappointed if I didn't get the positive feedback or something like that, or my results weren't acknowledged but someone else's were. And that's just a quote that I like to live by, that those that need to know, like that maybe if you're not getting the public accolades, the people around you know that you sort of put in the work and will, remember that.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders of Influence podcast with Anton Gim. And if this episode gave you even one idea that you can use this week, can you please do me these 3 things? Follow the show so you never miss an amazing leadership conversation. Share this episode with one leader on your team or on another team who you think could benefit from it. And if you want the full framework, the full experience, and to dive deeper, grab the book Leaders of Influence. By the way, that book's been a week on the bestseller list. It is built to help you lead with conviction, earn buy-in faster, and drive execution without having to chase people. If you want to bring leaders of influence into your business, if you want to have a conversation around how you can create leaders of influence, reach out. Let's talk. The links to connect with us are in the show notes. See you on the next episode.